And now we're on to bag 8. These are basically the same kind of thing except for the rear. Okay, here we have an assortment of inserts, and they are gonna, do not cut this little edge off here. That's like a key that's gonna fit here or here, depending on whether you place this right side up or upside down. And you can see how they're marked. If it's facing this way, it's 0. If it's facing the other way, it's 3. And your other pair, if it's up, it's 1. If it's down, it's 2. So these are your two extremes, 0 to 3, and then you have 1 and 2. That determines your axle height. Stock axle height is plus 1 millimeter, which is going to be the 1-2 piece facing up. And that is also what I'm going to be doing for my setup. So all you need to do is put it in with the key facing at that end. There's only one end, so you've got to put it on the correct side. And then the remaining 2 pieces you're going to want to put into your parts box, because you're going to want them later. Well, you may want them later. You may never make that change, but you want to keep the parts in case. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead right now and just remove these 2 stainless ball studs and replace them with these 2 titanium pieces. And the last piece in the kit is undoubtedly for our servo arm. Let's see, I need 2 I need 4 3x12s. That's interesting, I'm shy one. Fortunately, I have my own. I can make up the difference. Looks like all I've got is a 14, so I'll have to order some more of those. And I need 4 2mm spacers. Putting that on the wrong end. Okay, I need to make a change for my kit. I didn't check my build. Okay, the stock kit calls for a 2mm spacer. On my build sheet, it needs a 1mm spacer there, so I can go down in size from that 12 or that 14 and put in a 10. And what that does is that's going to slightly lengthen the camber link by 1mm. Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute and update my build sheet. While I was updating, I realized I'd forgotten something, and that was to check the ball stud spacing over here. And I need to lower these from a 2mm spacer to a 1mm spacer for the build I'm following. This is one of the boxes that always travels with me when I go to the track. The whole box, not just this little 3-container one. I've got all kinds of spacers in here from 0.5 millimeter up through 6 millimeter. So let's continue. And I've got 2 big bearings left, and those are undoubtedly for our center diff. These go from the rear. You can do it in whatever direction you want, but it shows from the rear. These are always fun. I'm just adjusting these, putting a little clamping pressure until they don't have jiggle in them but still move extremely freely. Oh, wait a minute, those are the steel ones. Okay, if you are doing the stock one, I think you have 4 different lengths of turnbuckles. The steering one being a separate one. And on this one, we also have 4 lengths. So there's these two, and our longest, short, medium, long. And if you look at our different lengths, our camber length for the front is 42 millimeters. That's what they want the gap to be, or the turnbuckle to be. Our steering linkage is 42, also same size, and then 45 is our camber link. Now, if you look at what they want the gap to be, the gap for the camber link is longer than the steering link. So in my case, I've got this extra length, so this is going to be my steering linkage, which is the shortest. Camber link for the front is medium. Camber link from rear is the longest. And that's how you would get your averages out for a situation like this. And I think they give us spares. They usually do. And our steering link has one of these little bends in it. And again, our steering link is the shortest. So I'm just going to kind of lay things out so I know what I got. Okay, steering, front camber. I'm going to use the cutter on these, smooth them out if I need to with the knife. Rear camber link. And they did not give us any spares. They gave us an exact amount. This is going to be our steering linkage. It's going to be our last 2 here. Okay, now I am going to give you the speech I have given many, many times. Turnbuckles. Turnbuckles, you want them all to turn in the same direction. That way, you always know which way tightens and which way loosens. Because turnbuckles are made with counter-rotating threads. So when you turn it one way, one side tightens and the other side also tightens, bringing them together or extending them apart. Now, turnbuckles have a mark on them. Like you see, there's this little ring cut here, and that lets us have a point of reference, a direction. I always put mine facing left from the front of the car. So if it were here, it would be like this with the mark facing that way, the driver's side, if you will. What that does is that every single car I have, if I turn the wrench forward and over like that, I'm tightening. If I come back, I'm loosening. Since all of the cars are like that, they're all the same, that means that I don't have to try to figure out which way to turn the wrench to make an adjustment. It's always the same on every car. So, now, one of the things that you can do to make assembling these easier is to put in some black grease. A lot of people use chapstick. I use Blistics because it's what I got. And it works great. Wait, this is one that I use on my lips. I've got another one around here somewhere for the cars. Let me see if I can figure that out. There we go. Now, I'm not going to bother recording all of this. I've explained the process. You get the idea. It would be incredibly tedious to watch. I'll come back and show you as I install a couple of them. Okay, another trick. What you want to do, because you want these to be adjustable easily out in the field. You don't want to be messing about with a tricky one when you're trying to make quick adjustments and you're in between laps or whatever. So tighten this all the way in till you don't see any more threads, and then back it out a bit, and then go ahead and connect and go from there, because you want to thread it as deeply as you need to in the event that you make some changes to length. Like you might take out that spacer and all of a sudden this thing needs to be, or you might add that 1 millimeter back in, and all of a sudden you need to have this thing be even tighter than it's ever been. You're going to be cutting new threads. Sometimes when you try to turn on it, it'll pop the ball joint off, which is always a pain in the neck. So if you cut threads all the way in and then extend back, it's done. It's pre-threaded and you don't have to worry about it. It's one less thing to not deal with out in the field. That's pretty close to horizontal. Okay, next one. Okay, I've got the camber links done, and this is where it can get a little tricky if you're not thinking ahead, because we have a pair of asymmetrical links here. These are our steering links, so we need these little guys on the outside of the links, And remember, we need to be watching our mark for our direction. So you need to make sure that you start one of these at the circle side, the marked edge, like that, and the other one, it's going to go on the opposite side. Otherwise, you're either going to have to rebuild it, and that's a pain, because if you've got a direction switch, you're cutting threads across each other, and that ruins plastic. Metal, it can't even be done. That's why these are never made out of metal. So I've got my turnbuckles, as you can see. Steering ones are done, and I have my servo turnbuckle made over here. I do not have my mechanism ready because I'm waiting on parts, which hopefully will arrive early tomorrow morning. But since I'm got a little time on my hands and want to keep working, I'm going to go ahead and jump to page 19 and bag 13 and go past the shock mounting to step 2 and start setting up the servo.